What is up, everyone? So it's been a very long time since I've done anything to this car here, and I'm so excited. I finally got my bearings from BE. They were back ordered, I think it was about a month and a half when I ordered them. They finally came in yesterday, so I'm ready to move this thing over to the shop and get started replacing them. Alright, so we're back in the shop here. Finally got the M5 in here. Going to be doing the rod bearings today. My bearings came yesterday, so we're all ready to go here. Probably won't be too detailed. Kind of go over some of the main parts as we go along. I'm going to try to get it done, and there's plenty of good DIYs out there, so hopefully we'll just kind of hit on some of the major parts. Okay, so here you can see I've got the engine supported here. This side's really easy, just got the factory lift point right there, so threw that in there. Then on this side was a little trickier. I went and pulled the air box out of here, and then that gave me access. There's a I'm not sure if we can, yeah, okay, so here we got a light. See right down in there, there's a empty or unused threaded hole in the head. I just went and found a proper bolt, threaded in there, and hooked my chain to it there. So we are now ready, got everything supported, we're ready to go underneath and get all the shields and stuff off, which I already did. You can see there we got the rear shield, and then, well, actually this here will be your bottom brace and the front shield. So we'll run it up in the air and see what we got under there. Okay, so while we're looking around under here, I'm gonna go ahead and get the oil started, draining. Okay, so as you can see, already got the trays off the bottom, so we can see what we got going on under here. So pretty much what we're going to end up doing here is, here we got the lower control arms. We're going to pop the bolt out of the front and the rear control arms right here. We got sway bar end links here that'll have to come loose. I think there's a hose right here. The power steering line will come off, and then we're pretty much ready. A few things with the power steering rack, but then we're pretty much ready to, since we already got the engine supported, we can go ahead and undo the engine mount and then drop the subframe. Okay, so a little update on the progress so far. I'm pretty much ready to drop the subframe. See here, we've got the tie rods loosened out of the hub here. Both lower control arms. As you can see here, I think I'm gonna have to drop the subframe a little bit before I can finish getting this bolt out, but it is ready to go. We just have to shift the subframe over. Same on this side, both lower control arms are removed. Sway bar is removed from the end link here. Tie rods removed. Got the cooler here unbolted. Engine mounts are loosened up. They sit right up in there. Kind of see it. On this side, on the passenger side or right side, I pulled the little bolts out. You can see that little indent. There's a bolt front and back that sits in there. On this side, since I had the air box removed, I was able to, from the top, just go down and drop the nut off the main stud. Also, over here, I've got the power steering lines disconnected from the rack, along with the little wiring harness you see there that goes right there. You can see the little white plug. So I think I'm pretty much ready to drop the subframe. Unless I'm missing something, I'm going to go ahead and loosen the subframe up. You can see one bolt there, another one hiding up in there, and one up there, and that's the same on both sides. I'm going to drop them, and hopefully I'm not missing anything, and we'll get that dropped out and take a look at the oil pan. Alright, so we got the oil pan off, and so far everything's looking pretty good in here. I'd say it looks pretty good and clean for 130,000 miles. So next thing we're going to be doing is getting these in position and starting popping the caps off and seeing how our old bearings look like. So getting pretty excited here. Hopefully we don't find anything we don't want to, but so far the way everything looks, I don't see any issues unless one of our bearings would be really bad. But we're going to find out just shortly. Alright, so a few hours later, I've got all the rod bearings replaced. You can see up there we got all new bolts there. One thing I did as I went along, whenever I did one, I put a little dab of paint on the head of the bolt so that I knew for sure that I had swapped and torqued it. That way I could keep track of which one I did. Now the best way to do it would be to start at either the front or the back and work your way all the way across. But what I did is just simply turned the crank, and as each one came down, I replaced it. That way I only have to do one revolution of the crank. So made it a lot easier, but made it a little tougher to keep track of which one was done. So that's why I did the paint marking. You can see over here, we've got all the bearings I removed. There we can see pretty much the worst one. There was a few of them that you can see a little bit of copper coming through, so it was definitely time to do it. But not as bad as I was expecting for 130,000 miles. See, the bottoms here aren't near as bad compared to the top. Top bearings obviously get most of the force. There we can see a little bit more copper coming through on that one. So overall, not terrible. You can see that one is definitely the worst. It would have been number 1, all the way at the front of the engine. So, didn't go too bad. I'm gonna go ahead and clean everything up. See here, get everything cleaned up, dried up, get the new gasket on, and start reassembling. Alright, so one last update here tonight. Went ahead and got the oil pan back on, got everything buttoned up again, and all ready to put the subframe back in. So I think I'm going to call it good for the night, and tomorrow I'll hopefully get time to get the subframe put back in, and then we pretty much should be done. Got all the lines that run along the oil pan on. The wiring, here we can see the little protective coating on conduit on the wiring. It got brittle from the heat and pretty much turned to dust when I moved it. So I wrapped it up, and then there where it goes around the oil pan, since I didn't have the proper conduit there, I just split a back line up to keep it from rubbing there, and the rest I just wrapped up. But yeah, got everything buttoned up. Everything's looking good and going back together nice. So I think we'll call it a night. Alright, so we got the subframe back in, got everything buttoned back up, all ready to put the plastic body shields under it, and we'll be all done. Everything went back together really nice. So we'll go ahead and chuck the plastic shields on and go from there.